Okay, welcome back. Let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into something pretty transformative, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine changing the way you learn English, like fundamentally, moving beyond just translating in your head.
Right. Building that direct link, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
between your thoughts and actually speaking or thinking in English.
Exactly. And that's the mission today. We're really digging into how you can train your brain to do that.
It's a massive challenge for so many learners, isn't it? That constant internal voice translating everything.
It really is. You think in your language, translate, then speak. It's a big hurdle.
A huge one. It slows everything down.
But we've got this fantastic guide, this document called welcomeback.pdf. And what I find really compelling is how it frames the whole thing.
The brain is a muscle analogy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like something you can actively train, strengthen, to get better at thinking directly in English.
I love that because it takes something that feels maybe innate or just
Hmm.
overwhelming, learning a language,
Yeah,
and makes it actionable. It's a skill.
it is something you build with practice. Targeted practice, yeah.
So our goal here is to really pull out the techniques from this source. We want to give you concrete, practical ways to start, well, rewiring things a bit.
Creating that direct pathway so your thoughts just flow into English.
Right, almost like how you learned your first language. You didn't translate then, did you?
Yeah.
The word and the thing were just linked.
Direct connection.
So this deep dive is really focused on the how. Less theory, more practical steps you can take.
And it's good to acknowledge upfront it sounds hard. I mean, changing how you think.
Totally. It feels unnatural at first because, well, you've always thought in your native language that's normal.
Completely normal. But the source makes a great point about kids.
Oh, yeah, that child learning analogy. They don't sit there translating.
Nope. They just associate sounds, words with things, actions, feelings. Boom. Direct link.
That's the fluency we're aiming for, that efficiency.
And the source calls that translation process the detour, which I think is a great way to put it.
It is. Instead of thought native language translation LA English, you want thought English directly.
Cut out the middleman.
Exactly. It takes effort, sure, like any training, but the source is really positive about the payoff. It's very rewarding.
Okay, so if you're listening and thinking, all right, I'm in, but where do I start? What's step one according to this guide?
It suggests starting super simple, like the simplest thing imaginable.
Which is?
Naming objects. Just look around you right now, wherever you are.
Okay.
See a table? Think table. Silently. See a lamp? Think lamp.
So not saying it out loud, just internal.
Just internal. The whole point, the source emphasizes this, is getting the English word to pop into your head first, without your native language jumping in.
That almost sounds too easy.
It does. But think about the power of doing that consistently. All day long, every object you notice, window, phone, book.
Just that constant low-level reinforcement.
Exactly. It starts building that direct pathway, associating the object visually with the English sound in your mind.
Okay, simple but powerful. What's the next level up from just naming things?
Describing actions. What you're doing, again, internally.
So connecting language to movement and activity.
Precisely. As you go about your day, just narrate. Simple phrases. I am walking. I am opening the door.
The guide has examples like, I am brushing my teeth.
Yeah. Or, I am boiling water. Now I'm adding tea leaves. Simple, everyday stuff. I am putting on my shirt. Now I'm wearing my shoes.
And the idea is the more you do this mental narration,
The more automatic those phrases become linked to the actions, your brain starts just thinking the English description when you do the action. No translation needed for those specific things.
that makes sense. Build it up action by action. The source also suggests focusing this practice on a routine, like your morning.
Yeah, that's a great practical tip. Pick a sequence you do every day. Your morning routine is perfect.
And just mentally walk through it in English.
Exactly. So you wake up.
And think, I wake up.
I open my eyes.
I stretch.
I sit up. I get out of bed. I walk to the bathroom.
I wash my face. I brush my teeth.
Right. Repeating that mental sequence every single morning really wires those phrases to those actions. It carves out a little part of your day where English is the automatic thought language for those specific tasks.
So we've got objects, we've got actions, the external world, kind of. But what about inside our heads, the thinking itself, that inner voice?
Ah, yes, the inner dialogue. This is where the source says it gets maybe a bit more challenging, but also incredibly powerful.
Because that voice, that stream of consciousness, it's almost certainly chattering away in your native language right now.
Almost guaranteed. And the guide suggests actively training that voice to start speaking English.
Wow. Okay. How do you even begin to nudge that internal monologue in a different direction?
Start small.
Yeah.
The source suggests treating it like a quiet chat with yourself when you're walking alone or just sitting for a minute.
Ask yourself simple questions in English.
Yeah, like, what should I have for lunch today?
Yeah.
And then answer yourself again in English.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make some soup, or I could order pizza.
Or thinking about your day, what do I need to do next? Okay, I need to send that email.
Exactly, those kinds of small internal Q&As. They're like mini workouts for your inner English voice. Builds confidence, builds fluency in just formulating simple thoughts directly. You're thinking in English, not just about English.
That makes sense. Start with those little internal conversations. Then the source talks about something more structured, setting aside specific time.
Yes, the English-only thinking time challenge. This is about consciously dedicating a block of time each day. Maybe start with just, say, 15 minutes.
And during that time, the goal is
To try and frame all your thoughts in English. Whatever pops into your head, plans, observations, feelings, worries, try to think it in English first.
okay, but what happens when you inevitably slip? Because you will, right? Your brain just defaults back.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
And the source is really clear and kind about this. It's not a failure.
Don't beat yourself up.
Not at all. Just notice it. Okay, I switched back. And then, gently, calmly, bring your focus back to trying it in English. The real work is in that noticing and redirecting.
Not an instant perfection.
Exactly. And then you gradually increase the time. Maybe 15 minutes becomes 30, then an hour, then maybe longer stretches.
The ultimate aim being that English becomes the go-to language for more and more of your internal processing.
Yeah, it's definitely a long game. A marathon, as you said earlier, not a sprint.
Which logically brings us to vocabulary. You can't think in English if you don't have the words, right?
Precisely. Vocabulary is the absolute bedrock, the building blocks of thought.
And the source makes a key point here. It's not just about memorizing lists of words.
No, not at all. It's about using them actively, spontaneously, in your thoughts.
So learn a few new words, maybe. But then what?
Immediately start making sentences with them in your mind. The guide uses the example of learning the word delicious.
Okay.
Don't just know what it means. Think, this apple is delicious, or I had a really delicious meal last night.
And repeat that thought a few times.
Yeah, mentally repeat it.
Yeah.
Connect the word to the feeling, the context, the meaning. That's how you internalize it, like a native speaker does.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your active thinking toolkit, not just passive knowledge. The source also suggests organizing your vocabulary practice by categories.
How does that help with thinking?
Well, it connects words in meaningful groups, reflecting how we often access language in real life. So learn words for, say, furniture.
Chair, table, sofa, bed.
Right. Then mentally list them. Then try making simple sentences. The chair is comfortable. I need a new lamp.
Or the fruit example from the source. Apples, bananas, oranges.
Yeah. Mentally make a shopping list. I need apples and bananas. Then sentences. I love eating apples. Grapes are my favorite fruit.
So you're linking the words together and linking them to real-life contexts like shopping or preferences makes them easier to grab when you need them for spontaneous thought.
Exactly. It makes the vocabulary more accessible, more automatic.
Okay, so we've got words, simple sentences describing things and actions. What about processing more complex information, like if you watch a video or listen to something in English?
This is a really important step the source covers. Making consumption active, not passive.
So don't just watch or listen and assume it's sinking in.
Right. The key advice is to pause afterwards or even during and actively summarize what you just heard or watched.
In English.
Yes, in your own words, in English, just in your mind.
So if I watch a cooking video,
Pause it and think, okay, first she chopped the onions, then she heated the oil, next she added the spices, or whatever the steps were.
that forces you to actually process the information in English, right? Not
Yeah.
just passively receive it. And then you have to produce English thoughts based on it.
Exactly. You're taking the input and reformulating it using your own English understanding. It's a huge step towards thinking fluently because you're practicing comprehension and internal production together.
Reading is another big one the source mentions. Books, articles, even simple things like captions online.
Absolutely. Reading is incredibly powerful. And the core advice here is similar. Read for meaning, not for word translation.
Try to visualize what you're reading. Get the overall picture.
Yes. Immerse yourself in the scene or the idea. And crucially, if you hit a word you don't know.
Resist the urge to translate immediately.
Exactly. Try to guess its meaning from the context first. Ask yourself, what kind of word would make sense here?
Why is that better than just looking it up?
Because it keeps your brain operating in English. Every time you stop to look up a word or translate, you're switching back to your native language mode. Guessing from context keeps you immersed, keeps the English thinking flowing.
That makes a lot of sense. Keep the momentum going in English.
The source actually includes a nice little guided practice
Mm.
for this kind of mental connection, of visual thinking exercise.
Oh, cool. Like the kitchen example?
Yeah. So if you're listening, maybe try this for a second. Close your eyes. Imagine you're walking into your own kitchen.
Okay, I'm there.
Now, mentally, using English, just start naming things you see.
Fridge, sink,
Good. What else? Microwave, countertop.
plates on the table.
Now, maybe describe a simple action. I open the fridge.
I take out some milk.
Perfect. This kind of visualization, seeing it in your mind's eye and immediately labeling or describing it in English, builds really strong, direct mental links. You're not just memorizing abstract words, you're mentally living in English in that space.
That feels really concrete. And it's not just about the physical world, is it? The source mentions extending this to our internal world, too, like emotions.
Absolutely vital. Thinking fluently isn't just about objects and actions, it's about expressing your inner state. So practice putting feelings into simple English words.
I feel happy. I'm feeling a bit stressed.
I'm angry about that. I'm sad today. Learning to articulate your emotions, even just basic ones, internally in English is a core part of making the language feel like your own. It's about expressing the whole you.
Okay, so we're building this internal English world. How do we then bridge that to interacting with others? The source talks about simulating real life, right?
Yes, preparing your mind for actual conversations. Mental scenarios are great for this.
Like the cafe example.
Exactly. Put yourself mentally in that situation. You walk in. What do you do first?
Look at the menu. Decide what I want.
Okay, do that mentally in English. The cappuccino looks good. And maybe a croissant.
Then practice the interaction.
Yeah, mentally rehearse ordering. Excuse me, can I please have one cappuccino and one croissant?
You could do this anywhere, couldn't you? Waiting for the bus, walking down the street.
Totally. Any downtime. The more detail you put into the mental simulation, the sights, the sounds, the potential responses, the better your brain gets at activating the right English for that situation when it actually happens. It's like pre-paving the neural pathways.
Building conversational muscle memory.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm.
And it works for all sorts of common situations. The source uses the supermarket as another example.
Right. Walking down the aisles, thinking in English.
Narrate your shopping trip internally. Okay, first I need rice. Where's the rice aisle?
Uh-huh.
Over there.
Let's see. This brand looks okay. I'll take this one.
Now vegetables. Tomatoes, onions, carrots. This constant self-talk keeps your mind actively engaged in English during routine activities. Over time, English starts to feel like the natural language for that specific task.
And the idea is to carry this over into actual interactions with people.
Definitely. The source suggests using this internal English thinking before, during, and after conversations.
Okay, so before a conversation.
Think about what you might want to say, how you could start. Maybe anticipate some questions. Just get your mind into English mode regarding the topic.
And during the conversation.
Try your best to stay in English mode. Think in English as you listen and formulate your responses. Don't mentally translate everything back and forth if you can help it.
And then afterwards, this is interesting.
Reflect on it in English.
Yeah.
Think, how did that go? Did I express myself clearly? Was there anything I didn't understand? What could I have said differently?
So you're using the real conversation as learning material for your internal English practice.
Exactly. Your brain learns directly from the experience, reinforcing what worked and identifying areas to improve next time. Every conversation becomes a practice session.
The guide gives another specific scenario to practice mentally. Shopping for a gift.
Yeah, walk through the whole thought process.
Okay, need a present. Friend's birthday tomorrow.
What should I get him? He likes reading. Maybe a book?
Hmm?
Or you mentioned needing a new shirt.
He likes blue. Yeah, maybe a blue shirt. Okay, where can I find a nice one?
I could try them all. I'll check out those 3 stores. If I don't find anything good, I'll just get a gift card.
So you're practicing decision-making, planning, problem-solving, all using English in your head.
It's a fantastic mental workout. The more you practice these kinds of internal planning scenarios, the more automatic it becomes to use English for those higher-level thinking tasks.
What about actual speaking practice? The source mentions mirror talk.
Yes, talking to yourself in the mirror. It sounds a bit weird, maybe.
A little.
But it's surprisingly effective. The guide says start simple.
Like just saying hello.
Yeah. Hi. how's it going? And then answer yourself. Pretty good. Busy day today.
Talk about what you did. I went to work, had a meeting, cooked dinner.
Exactly. Start with simple recounts. Then, as you get more comfortable, you can talk about opinions, feelings, plans in more detail.
And the benefit is?
It builds confidence. You get used to hearing yourself speak English, you can pay attention to your mouth movements, your pronunciation, and crucially, there's zero pressure because nobody else is listening. It helps bridge the gap between internal thought and external speech.
Okay, moving on to reinforcing all this learning. The source talks about reflection, particularly reviewing your day.
Yes, this is a really powerful habit. At the end of the day, maybe before sleep, take a 4 moments to think back on what happened.
And the key is to do this review in English.
Absolutely. Mentally recount the main events. Okay, woke up late today, oops. Rushed to work. Had that movie with the boss, it went okay, actually.
After work, I stopped at the shop, bought groceries, came home, made pasta, watched a bit of TV, now I'm tired.
Exactly like that. You're connecting your real-life experiences directly to English descriptions, which is a very strong way to reinforce the language and practice recall.
The guide provides a slightly more detailed example of this daily review too, doesn't it?
It does, sort of painting a picture of a hypothetical day.
Let's try that. Okay, so today, I woke up at 7, felt pretty good, brushed my teeth, took a shower.
I wore my favorite blue shirt and jeans, had eggs and toast for breakfast.
Then I caught the bus to work, listened to that English podcast on the way.
At work, I answered a bunch of emails, had lunch with Sarah from accounting.
After work, I walked home because the weather was nice, watched an episode of that show in English. Now I'm ready for bed.
Doing that kind of recap nightly really helps your brain get used to summarizing and structuring your day's events using English. It becomes more automatic.
Journaling is another tool the source suggests for this kind of reflection.
Yeah, writing your thoughts down in English. And again, the emphasis isn't on perfection.
Don't worry about grammar or spelling mistakes.
Not for this exercise. The goal is training your thoughts to flow in English. Just get them onto the page. Start super simple if you need to.
Like, today was okay, learn something new.
Perfect, just 1 or 2 sentences. Then gradually write more as you feel comfortable.
How does writing help differently than just thinking?
It slows down the thinking process, makes it more deliberate. You can see the English words, which reinforces them visually. And reading it back later can be really motivating to see your progress.
What about recalling past events, like telling stories to yourself?
Another great technique mentioned, pick a happy memory, maybe a trip or a fun event, and try to recount it internally in English.
The source had an example about a trip, right?
Yeah, something like, last year I went to the mountains with my family. The weather was cold but sunny. We built a fire and cooked noodles outside. We laughed a lot. It was a really great trip.
So you're practicing narrative structure, sequencing events, and linking descriptions and feelings to past experiences, all in English.
Exactly. It helps your brain handle stories and real-life events fluently.
Okay, let's shift to some more active, almost game-like training techniques the source suggests.
Yeah, these are fun ways to keep your brain sharp. The category game is a good one.
How does that work again?
Pick a category, say, clothes, then as quickly as you can, mentally list items in that category in English.
Shirt, pants, socks, jacket, hat, shoes.
Right. And then maybe push it a bit further. Make a quick sentence for a few of them. I need new socks. This jacket is warm.
Or another category like kitchen items.
Spoon, fork, knife, plate, bowl, cup. I eat soup with a spoon. Be careful, the knife is sharp.
So it's rapid recall plus immediate application in a simple context.
Exactly. Connects the word, the meaning, and the usage all at once. Great little mental drill.
Music is another area the source touches on, if you enjoy English music.
Don't just listen or sing along passively. Pay attention to the lyrics.
And the key step is?
Try to explain the meaning of a line or the whole song in your own words internally in English.
So if a song says, I miss you every day,
you might think, okay, this song is about someone feeling lonely. They're thinking about a person they love who isn't there. They feel sad because they're separated.
So you're processing the emotional content, the deeper meaning, not just the surface words.
Yes. It helps you connect with English on an emotional level, not just a logical one, which is a big part of natural, fluent thinking.
Then there's shadowing. The source calls this a powerful technique.
It really is, especially for pronunciation and fluency.
Explain shadowing again. What exactly do you do?
You listen to a short phrase or sentence of spoken English from a video, podcast, anything, and you immediately repeat it aloud, trying to copy the speaker's exact pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation.
Almost talking right on top of them. Or immediately after.
Yeah, or pause and repeat immediately. The source example. Here, I'm going to the store. Then say aloud, I'm going to the store, mimicking the sound. Then try saying it again without listening from memory.
What's the main benefit of doing that?
It trains your brain and your mouth to work together in real time, producing English sounds naturally and quickly. It gets you used to the flow of spoken English in a very direct way. Great for bridging thought and speech.
Okay, practical question. What happens when you're trying to think in English, maybe describing something or having an internal conversation, and you just blank on a word? You know the concept, but the English word won't come.
That happens all the time, even to native speakers. The crucial advice from the source is, don't immediately give up and switch to your native language to find the word.
So what should you do?
Try to explain or describe the word using other English words that you do know. Circumlocution,
My
basically.
source used broom as an example. Right, if you forget broom.
And you think, that's that thing. You use it to clean the floor. It's long, has a handle,
Yeah.
and stiff hairs at the bottom.
Ah, so you talk around the word.
Exactly. It keeps your thought process flowing entirely in English. You don't break the immersion. And honestly, being able to describe a concept when you don't know the exact word is a really valuable communication skill in itself. It shows higher level thinking.
That's a great tip. Keep the English engine running. Another real-time practice mention is describing scenes around you.
Yeah, like the park example. You're just sitting there observing.
Start simple again. There's a dog.
The dog is brown. It's quite big.
It's running. Looks happy.
Then add more detail as you can. It's chasing a red ball. Some children are laughing nearby. The dog looks very friendly.
The sun is shining. It's a nice afternoon.
This constant observation and immediate description in English really sharpens your brain's ability to process the world around you directly into the target language. Makes you quicker on your feet, mentally.
To keep things fresh, the source suggests daily thinking challenges.
Yeah, just give yourself a small, specific task each day. Keeps it interesting, stops it feeling monotonous.
Like today's challenge, describe my bedroom in detail in English.
Or imagine ordering food at a specific restaurant you know.
Yeah.
Or mentally summarize the plot of the movie I watched last night.
So variety is key.
It keeps different mental muscles working, builds comfort across more topics, and just prevents boredom, which is important for sticking with it long term.
The guide also talks about weaving English thinking into the fabric of your day, like using free time.
Yes, those moments when you're not actively focused on something else, washing dishes, folding laundry, waiting in line, your brain is often more relaxed then.
And you can use that time for what kind of English thinking?
Just gentle stuff. Mull over your plans for the evening. Replay a conversation in your head. Notice the weather.
It looks like rain later. I should probably bring my umbrella.
I wonder what time dinner will be ready. I'm getting hungry. Just letting your casual thoughts happen in English. It's low pressure, keeps the language active.
There's also a really simple environmental tweak the source recommends.
Changing your device language. Phone, computer.
Set it to English.
Yep. It's a small change, but it means you're constantly encountering English words. Menus, notifications, buttons.
You just get used to seeing and understanding them without thinking about it.
Exactly. It makes English part of your everyday environment, which subtly reinforces it as part of your thinking environment too. Every little bit helps integrate it.
Now let's be real. This isn't always going to be easy. There will be days when your brain feels resistant or you just feel stuck.
Oh, for sure. The source acknowledges that completely. Progress isn't linear.
So what's the advice for those tough moments?
Don't give up. Don't get frustrated with yourself. Just gently acknowledge it. Okay, this feels hard right now, or my brain really wants to use my native language.
And then
Gently try again. Remind yourself, okay, let's try thinking that thought in English one more time. Or maybe switch to an easier practice, like naming objects, just to get back in the flow.
it's okay to slip back sometimes.
Absolutely. The key is just returning your focus when you notice it. It's a journey, and every step, even the small ones, counts. Persistence over perfection.
Okay, here's a big one that stops a lot of people. Worrying about grammar when thinking internally.
Huge barrier. And the source has really important advice here.
Which is?
When you are thinking to yourself, practicing this internal English monologue, do not worry about perfect grammar.
Really? Let it go.
Let it go, especially initially. The main goal is fluency of thought. Getting the ideas flowing in English, focusing too much on getting every sentence grammatically perfect in your head will just block that flow.
So if you think something like, he go market yesterday.
For internal thought practice, the source says that's okay. Don't stop and mentally correct yourself constantly. Just let the thought happen in English.
Won't that reinforce bad habits?
The idea is that your brain will naturally absorb correct patterns over time from all the input you get reading, listening. The internal practice is more about building the habit of thinking directly in English. Keep the channel open. Accuracy improves with overall exposure and practice. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, especially in your own head.
Keep the flow going. That's a relief, actually. The source also suggests connecting this practice to your goals.
Yeah, a really powerful habit. Think about your daily goals or even bigger life goals in English.
Maybe every morning.
Great time to do it. Mentally outline your intentions. Okay, today I will finish that chapter. I want to make sure I talk to my colleague about the project. I will practice English thinking for 20 minutes.
How does thinking about goals in English help?
It connects the language directly to your motivations, your aspirations. It makes English feel relevant to your future, not just an academic subject. Builds a deeper, more personal connection.
Another specific mental exercise mentioned is describing objects in more detail.
Right. Pick something nearby, say your cup.
Okay, got a mug here.
Now, describe it mentally in English, adding details.
This is my favorite mug. It's blue. It has a picture of a cat on it. It's ceramic. It feels warm because my tea is hot. I like drinking tea from this mug.
Perfect. Now pick something else. Your shoes.
These are my running shoes. They're mostly gray with some orange bits. They're comfortable. A bit dirty, actually. I wear them when I go for a run.
See, this trains your brain to move beyond simple labels and access descriptive words quickly, painting a fuller picture in English. It's like upgrading your internal descriptive abilities.
The guide talks about narrating your actions, almost like having an inner coach.
Yes, turning that inner voice into a running commentary of what you're doing.
So as I'm making lunch,
You think, okay, now I'm washing the lettuce. I'm slicing the tomatoes. I'm putting them in the bowl. Now I'm adding some dressing.
just quietly narrating the steps to yourself.
Exactly. It constantly associates English with your physical actions throughout the day. It helps make English feel like the default setting for experiencing your own life.
But what if you're just feeling tired or bored with all this mental effort? It can feel like work.
It can. And the source has advice for that too. Don't force it when you're really not feeling it. Instead, go back to something light and fun.
Use English to think about things you enjoy.
Exactly. Think about your favorite food. Imagine eating it. Describe it in English.
Pizza. I love pizza. The cheese is melted and gooey. The crust is perfectly crispy. Pepperoni is the best topping. Makes me hungry just thinking about it.
Or imagine that dream vacation again.
Paris.
Ah,
I really want to go to Paris. I imagine walking by the Seine, seeing the Eiffel Tower lit up at night, eating croissants every morning, taking so many photos.
connecting English to joy, pleasure, excitement. It refuels your motivation and reminds your brain that this language is about enjoyment too, not just effort.
Here's an interesting one. Teaching yourself something in English.
Yeah, explaining a simple process, even if no one is listening but you.
Like how to make tea, the source example.
Right. Mentally explain it. Okay, first, you need to boil some water.
Yeah.
While it's boiling, get a cup and a tea bag. Once the water boils, pour it into the cup over the tea bag. Let it steep for, say, 3 minutes, then take the bag out. Add milk or sugar if you like. Enjoy.
What's the benefit of doing that?
It forces your brain to organize information logically and explain it clearly in sequence, using English. It's a really good workout for structuring thoughts for communication.
And finally, the source wraps up with a really nice visualization exercise. Imagining your perfect day.
Yes, a way to end on a positive, relaxed note. Close your eyes, take a breath, and just mentally walk through your ideal day, narrating it all in English.
So maybe I wake up feeling really rested, the sun is shining.
I have a relaxed breakfast, maybe read a little, then I do some work I feel passionate about.
Later, I meet up with friends for lunch. We laugh and talk. The food is delicious.
In the afternoon, maybe I go for a walk somewhere beautiful, feel calm and happy. In the evening, I relax, watch a great movie, maybe in English, feel totally content, a perfect day.
Using English to imagine positivity and fulfillment.
It just helps your brain associate the language with good feelings, making it more receptive and open to thinking in English naturally.
So as we kind of pull all these threads together from this deep dive, what's the overarching message, especially around encouragement?
Celebrate the small wins. Seriously. The source emphasizes this. Don't be your own worst critic.
So thinking one clear sentence without translating, that's a win.
Absolutely. Remembering that new word right when you needed it. Win. Managing 5 minutes of dedicated English thinking time, big win.
You have to acknowledge that progress. Pat yourself on the back, mentally.
Your brain thrives on that positive reinforcement. Be encouraging, not critical.
And the final piece of advice seems to be about trust.
Trust the process and trust yourself. You can do this. You have the ability to train your brain this way.
Consistency is key, right? Keep showing up.
Every day, even if it's just a tiny bit. Those small, consistent efforts add up enormously over time. That's how you build the muscle.
And the promise, the payoff, according to this guide.
Your brain will adapt.
Yeah.
English will gradually shift from feeling like this foreign thing you have to constantly decode to just another natural way you think, a part of you.
And that internal transformation, thinking directly in another language, it unlocks so much more, doesn't it? The source mentions opening doors.
To new ideas. Definitely. Different ways of seeing the world, new opportunities, culturally, professionally, deeper connections with people. It's profound.
It really is. It goes way beyond just passing a test or ordering coffee.
It changes your internal landscape.
So we've covered a huge amount today, pulling from this source material. Everything from just naming a chair,
All the way to visualizing your perfect day, narrating actions, playing thinking games, simulating conversations.
a whole toolkit for training your brain.
And the core message running through it all is pretty clear, isn't it?
Patience, consistency, practice.
Those are the keys. It's a journey. There's no magic trick.
Hmm.
But every single effort you make to think directly in English, however small, is building that pathway.
It really is possible. Thinking in English isn't just for language geniuses. It's a skill you can actively develop, and it's incredibly rewarding when you start to feel that shift happen.
It changes everything about how you experience the language.
Which brings us to a final thought, something to maybe ponder after this deep dive. The source talks about opening doors by thinking in a new language. But consider this. If you can intentionally train your brain to fundamentally change how it processes language and thought in this way, what else could you train it to do?
Interesting.
What other foundational aspects of your thinking, maybe even in your native language, could you consciously reshape through deliberate practice? The power isn't just in learning English itself. It's in recognizing and harnessing your mind's ability to adapt, to rewire, to learn new ways of operating.
So the question becomes, what will you train your brain to do next?